Every story has an ending. Does our quest to play the top 100 course in 10 years have a good ending? I'm Mitch.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jim.
And we're here to guide you through this golfing journey. This is the Top 110 Golf Podcast. Episode 30, the fun little sister, Queen's Course at Gleneagles review. So I don't have any terrible puns or anything like that this time round as an intro, Chris. You'll be pleased to know. Because I think we're going to be chatting quite a lot about this experience.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about, isn't there?
We are fresh off playing Gleneagles, Queen's Course and King's Course. As anybody following us on Instagram will know.
Not looked.
What a day number 7 and what a day number 8 was the caption, Jim.
Well, I think out of the challenge thus far, when you told me that you'd managed to get onto Gleneagles and play both of these courses, I think this is where the challenge almost started for me. You know, for the iconic golf courses. In particular, and you know they're not ranked in the top 10 either of them. 77 for the Queen's Course, 38 for King's Course,
Something like that, yeah.
And that's why I did the social media blackout. I just didn't want to know anything about it until we were in the room together.
We lost a follower.
The follower.
Yeah, I think you were sort of right to do that because then I did post what we'd done, but I was kind of alright with the stories. I mean, there was a load of stuff I was posting about, like my new shoes and gloves and things like that,
Because you're looking for sponsorship from somebody.
Please, Adidas Originals, please sponsor me. I pretty much bought everything anyway, so it'd be like free sponsorship essentially. But everything was so built up so well to this round, at least 2 rounds, I should say, the experience that I think it was like, I'm going to post the stuff that I've done that's extra. So I bought a new jumper and new trousers and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I want to post all that because I was really excited. But all of that stuff was well worth doing and more. It was so good. It's a golf resort.
And I think that's a bit of a difference because, I mean, no disrespect to any of the other courses that you've played or I've been on. I mean, you drive up and it's a golf club. It's got a clubhouse and it's got a restaurant and it's got some facilities. But I think when you drive, I mean, I'm not sure what the build up to Gleneagles is. I mean, I've been nearby because we were up in Scotland for a wedding only a couple of weeks ago, and you see the signpost for Gleneagles Hotel. And I mean, what was it like?
You keep seeing these signs like pretty much every 100 meters is like another Gleneagles, Gleneagles, and it's like, come on, it's getting close. It's a quarter of a mile.
But then you get there and it's just like this beautiful golden lettering on the signage as you go in, like Gleneagles and either side. Beautiful flowers and stuff in this incredible driveway up, isn't there?
Yeah, you walk so. How I would describe the approach was you walk up, you drive up this incredibly well manicured road. It's like cars parked, whatever. I mean, it was a hive activity straight away. There were buggies zipping around all over the place. There's impeccably well designed and kept buildings. I was just I said to Emma doesn't have a clue about it, but I said to her, I was like,
even now,
it feels like it's like a tournament or something. It felt like had that feel about it because there was all these
people around.
People had headsets in, and there's a starter at the tee that you could spot, and it was just. You are excited anyway, and then you hit that entrance, and you go, "I'm even more excited now."
Is it kind of a road that's the path that drive is a mile?
It's quite long. You kind of go. The golf courses are actually just as you come in. So just as you come in, they're just kind of there on your left. But then there's a further bit that goes up round to the hotel. So you don't kind of see the hotel at first. You just kind of drive up and drive past the clubhouse and the first tees, basically.
What's the clubhouse like?
It's alright. It's a bit of a shed. No, it's not a shed. It's absolutely. It's massive.
It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Andy was telling us, wasn't it? They'd redone it for the Ryder Cup. So they'd had where we sat in the dorm in the morning, we were having our breakfast was for the European teams, and they built the same on the other side for the American team, but then they didn't finish it, did they? They didn't finish it for the Americans or something. Then they had to ship them out to a tent somewhere.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that why they lost?
Yeah.
Poor
Celtic
breakfast.
Manor, they used the waterproofs not being waterproof, and then this time it was the
Poor breakfast facilities.
Oh no, if clubhouse wasn't right for us. Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, like you go into the locker room and there's a guy there just seemingly to chat to you, just to make sure everything's okay.
You could imagine if people on the Pro Tour, everything's done for them, right?
Yeah.
So golf balls are provided to you, tees are provided to you, here's your course map, here's your scorecard. You go over here, oh, don't do your bag. Well, I'll let Chris tell his backstory, but like, don't do your bag. We'll do that. Everything's just done. You just tell them, I mean, everything just revolves around when's your tea time? I know you're staying at the hotel. If you answered your tea time and then said, yes, I'm staying in the hotel, it's like, you don't need to lift a finger. We'll sort absolutely everything out for you. And that for me was I felt that's the closest I'm probably ever going to get. Well, no, it's not probably about it. It's the closest I am going to get. And I don't think there will be an experience, perhaps in the States, if we ever make it over there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be anything in the UK or our challenge certainly, that's going to compare to that experience, because as we were in the midst of this amazing experience, I'm like interrogating that list, going, go on then, where are the other resorts that we've got to go to? This is amazing. And I just don't think there's anything comparable to Gleneagles, because it's world famous.
Yeah.
And the hotel, we said in the previews, the hotel in its own right is world famous.
Yeah.
And the level of service is world famous in its own right.
And I think like I was excited about all the little touches and stuff, but you were like a giddy little schoolgirl.
Well, it has been for months.
I mean, like to the point where I was like, I'm not sure I can chat to Nish about Gleneagles anymore. I can't take the excitement. It's too much. It's just we're just going to be disappointed when we get there. One of the nice little touches is that they'll basically take your bag for you and they'll take your bag away whilst you're staying in the hotel for the weekend. They'll sort your clubs out for you. So when you're due to play, they'll kind of get your bag out and put it next to the tee for you, so it's ready to go. So yeah, when we first drove in, we're driving up the road. We see the bag drop, and I'm like, oh, not quite. There's nowhere to park here, so I turned around and went back to the car park. And Nish follows me back in, and me and Lucy get out of the car. Where's Nish gone? He was literally just right behind us. And then so I had a little wander around the car park. I was like, must be here somewhere. And then just a little penny just dropped and went, wait a minute. There's no way Nish is going to be able to drive past that bag drop without getting rid of his clubs, is there?
The look of like incredulity on my face when I saw Chris turning around, driving away and parking up, I was like, what are you doing? What? Like, there's a sign here that says golf bag drop off. There is no way I'm not doing that. Like, that's what it's there for. That poor guy, he's had nothing to, he had loads to do, but this is his moment. It's his moment to shine. And I don't know what his name is, because I never asked him, but that's what he's there for. And so I got out and I was like, I need to give you my bag. We're playing at 11 o'clock today. We're staying in the hotel. We're going to have some breakfast here, but what's the deal? Where do we park? And he said, so it's no problem at all. Head up to the hotel, drop your golf bag here. I've logged your tea time. Head up to the hotel and they'll be able to check you in and sort you out straight away. I'm like, thank you, that's exactly the answer I was looking for. But even that, it's not like, oh no, check-in's not till 3 o'clock. Or, there's none of that. It's full on like, you're here now, you're in our care.
Yeah, but like that whole experience was just otherworldly, wasn't it? I've never experienced anything even close to that before, I don't think, but because everything's kind of like decorated in sort of 1920s vibe, isn't it? It literally feels like you're walking into some sort of decadent 1920s film, and it felt otherworldly for like the 48 hours.
They definitely give you that. They give you that vibe completely, don't they?
Yeah.
And again, the staff were great because they weren't stuffy and over formal, really chatty, all that kind of thing. Their personality came through. Even then, so we'd checked in. We were running a little bit behind for our breakfast meeting with Hendy, who was the member that invited us, and we'd heard, because the guy, when I did my bag drop, which should have done it, to find this information out. But when I did the bag drop, he said,
I did do it.
If you want, it's only a 3 or 4 minute walk from the hotel back to here for where we're meeting for breakfast. Or if you let them know in the hotel, they'll run you back in a buggy. I was like, there's no way I'm not doing that. But
wasn't even a buggy, was it? It was a Land Rover.
We didn't get a buggy. right? So we were waiting on a buggy. That oh, great, we'll sit in the back of a buggy, whatever. No. This 8-seater Mercedes van, Vito van, turns up, full on black, all fully kitted out, buttons to do the door at the lock.
Driver fully.
And you basically just step into this thing, and out the seat is just literally just like you don't even need to do anything with your muscles to sit down in this van, right? So that buttons and whatever, like. You're in your golf gear, right? So we were in our golf gear at this point, ready to go to breakfast. They're taking you from where you're staying in one of these luxury Mercedes Vito vans down there. You arrive, you press the button, all the doors fly open, you just like step out. I'm like, yeah, great, I'm in the clubhouse, right?
Clubs are there, ready to go.
The closest I'm ever gonna feel to be the professional golfer or somebody important. And that was it. But yeah, that was next level stuff, mate. It is really hard to detach yourself from that to then go, right, actually, let's go
play
here
golf.
to actually play golf.
It's part of a challenge, right?
Yeah, and that clubhouse was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty stunning. But we did
skate happen there.
We did have a.
Chris didn't get a chance to have a practice ball before we went out for a run.
Too much food consumed.
Well, no food because I was thinking about breakfast. So as good as the service was.
That was the one blemish, wasn't
I
it?
missed my breakfast order, so I didn't have any breakfast or a practice, so I was pretty grumpy at this point, Jim.
Do you not share any of yours?
I don't think he wanted anyone to bring breakfast.
No, they did make me a bacon butty, so they quickly made me a bacon butty, so I had that and Lucy shared a bit of mine, but I missed out on my smoked salmon breakfast.
We went down into the locker room, you're walking past all like pictures of all the Ryder Cup, and so again for me, that was a personal highlight that I was looking forward to with all the Ryder Cup memories.
That was the PJ course at the Gleneagles.
That was on a PJ course, yeah. But so a lot of pictures obviously all in the clubhouse. You go into the clubhouse and it's just like plush carpets, the lockers are all great. So it was kind of like the build up to playing golf is unbelievable.
Yeah,
if you reckon it,
awesome.
and we would have got. I don't think we would have got no preferential treatment as being with a member. We were originally booked as a visitor, but all that stuff that we've got is that's how it is. That's the service that you get. So whoever's if you're playing there, and you've booked your round, and if you're not staying, it doesn't matter. But you're still going to get that. I mean, obviously you're not going to get your valet park in there because you're not in the hotel.
Yeah,
it's just a separate bit. But yeah, that kind of brekkie onwards to your tea box. Yeah.
But we did have a nice little celebrity spot at breakfast as well, didn't we, that morning?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Well, I didn't mention it to the office, but yeah, Paul Laurie was. At first, when we went in, there's a guy sat there that looks a bit like Paul Laurie. And as I was sat waiting for my breakfast, whilst everyone else was eating the breakfast, just stood right behind Nish was Paul Laurie paying for his breakfast.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe he's eating my breakfast.
Did you tweet it?
I think Paul Laurie might eat my breakfast.
Should have taken a picture. You should have gone, Nish, smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, move over and smile.
But then I think the start said the next day, didn't he, that he was there playing both days. So he was playing a competition with his son. He was playing on the Saturday, same as us basically, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He played on the Queens on the Saturday and then he played on the Kings on the Sunday, some sort of knockout with his son.
But there were, so one thing I did find out, I messaged you about this later, so this will feed into our sort of golf, I suppose. But they were having, at that time, a members scratch competition over 2 days on Queens and Kings courses.
Oh, right.
So I heard that the pin positions were particularly devilish when we were playing.
Interesting.
Which I didn't massively think, but there were a couple that were tucked away, weren't there?
Yeah, certainly on the Kings.
Kings, definitely.
There was some way you couldn't even see the flag on some of them, like par 3 greens.
That was it. So it was quite. So that when I heard that, I thought, that's quite an interesting development, isn't it? That's not normal.
It didn't feel overly penal. I mean, I think with those greens, pretty much certainly on the first front nine on the Queens, wherever you put the pin, it's a fucking nightmare. Because there's so many undulations and stuff on the greens.
What are my words? Undulations, lush, and gorgeous. I think it lived up to all three of those.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, once you've made it to the green, it's like it's not jogged on at all, is it? On the Queens specifically.
Yeah.
It's hard work at that point.
So we're at the first tee.
The Queen's course, number 77 on.
That's 77. Yeah. There is a massive practice green. For the Queen's course, that didn't prepare us for the course. I think that green is more set up for the Kings, for putting practice. So it didn't replicate, did it?
I think the green. Yeah, we really struggled to find the pace.
Couldn't find the pace
of the Queens. They were very slow, weren't they?
I'm decent at picking up the pace of the green. I was struggling with that.
Don't do anything with it, do you?
No, I don't do anything. I can pick up the pace, just can't. But yeah,
If it's slow and work perfect for me, can whack it.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. And then as the afternoon wore on, then it started getting a bit warmer.
Yeah.
By the way, the weather.
You were,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Oh, it was glorious, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I couldn't have asked for anything better, really.
Midge watch? Any midges?
No,
Early in the season.
Yeah,
Probably a bit too in line.
I think they were blinded by my nice white.
There's no wildlife within a 3 mile radius.
There he is.
So the green probably isn't representative for the Queen, but definitely for King. I think we generally put it a bit better on the King, and the pace was more matched to that. There wasn't a hitting net, so we couldn't even really go and hit it. We had to go to the range, really. Did they have a net at the range? You went?
No, it's just
The range is across the road, isn't
the
it?
range is across the road, so it's a bit of a walk down to the range.
Yeah.
What? A walk?
Should have got a buggy, mate.
I should have got a buggy, shouldn't I?
That sort of. I'm guessing the range was
The range was
great.
The range was decent, yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting like grass bays and all that kind of stuff, but it
Grass
wasn't.
bays.
It wasn't quite like that. You got a free little basket of tailor-made balls, which was good. It's full length range. It was all right. It wasn't mega special. Probably the best one I think we've seen so far, but nothing out of this world.
There's nothing being amazing though. So,
No.
I mean, the range. Well, I suppose Woodall's Bar was a good range, but they had no grass bays on that one.
No, yeah, I think it was decent, but it wasn't like you didn't like from like everything else at Gleneagles. You just were like, fucking hell, this is incredible. I didn't walk away from the range going, that was incredible. Like it was good, but it wasn't mega. And there's a little short game practice chipping area as well, but I didn't really use that.
I had an extra bacon and sausage now. So we rock up to the first.
So you had Chris's basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so it wasn't Paul Laurie at all. It was just Nish.
So we rocked up to the first tee, and there's a starter as we're getting used to now, kind of thing. And
Just
and
put you off on the first one.
on the Queens,
Didn't happen this time, did it, Chris?
the fairway is really wide.
No, it didn't actually. No.
Like really, really wide fairway, isn't it, on the Queens? The
Oh,
Kings
well,
have
wide as the
Queens,
Kings.
but
I think the Queen wasn't that wide.
it was pretty wide.
I mean, I missed it by quite a long way, so
Yeah, you missed both.
I missed both to be fair.
Yeah,
Because I didn't get a practice, mate.
I hit both just for. If you ever feel like doing a side bet, Jim, hitting the fairway with
the first tee.
Only if there's a watching.
Fancy getting me to level it up somehow. But so you're bet you get at the tee box, you get your course guide, including all the yardages in there, lines to aim for, and all this kind of stuff, which Chris normally pays somewhere between £6 and £12 for from the club shop. That's included. You can pick up tees, you get a little divot tool.
So the guy in the Queens was like, just take as many as you want. I was like, that's a mistake.
You shouldn't say that, yeah.
My hands are bigger than they look.
Yeah.
Bring the car.
We need a bigger bag.
But all this stuff is just like, give the pot pencil into the scorecard, it's all right.
It's just those little touches were like, they were top notch, weren't they?
Yeah, and they were kind of like, I found so far all starters have been actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Quite chatty,
Ultimately, I
into
think
it.
starters, I've realised, are just people who used to play golf, probably physically can't quite play golf as much as they wanted to, probably retired from the job and they're going to go, I'm just going to go be a golf starter. It's the perfect job for
It's a
them.
great job.
They've all been golfers, I think everyone we spoke to, haven't we?
Yeah.
And they're just quite happy to sit there and chat to you about golf for 5 or 10 minutes.
And then you knew Hendy, so he was just like having a little bit of a gas with him. So
I mean, we should probably have a little word for Hendy, because Hendy was an absolute legend.
He was.
Such a great guy.
Yeah, what great. He regaled us with a lot of tales of the course and the club anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he holds audience, doesn't he?
He does, absolutely, yeah.
And obviously we're very grateful that he invited us up and allowed us to
I don't think you really got a choice.
No, I kind of shoehorned
Yeah,
my way in there. When are we going to play? When are we going to play? When are we going to play? When are we going to play?
But yeah, I think it was obviously that's the first round we played in Scotland. But in terms of like a Scottish welcome and to the level of friendliness that we had from them was
It was
pretty
amazing.
epic, wasn't it?
It was so awesome.
Sounds surprised almost, when Scottish heritage.
Well, that's why we're going off, Jim.
So we started off. The first is pretty straightforward. Not really that much danger in play, although you wouldn't guess from our scores. So
Yeah, we didn't start that one.
Even after a good drive, it was a bit absolutely managed. But I 3-putted on that, and yeah, that was pace of greens, not really mirroring what we'd just done on the practice green.
Was it bone dry?
It
wasn't. It was the first time that we played this year where it was like, oh, the first shot hit off the fairway on the first hole. I was like, oh, it was actually took a decent divot there. It was a little bit wet still, so it's obviously a bit damper up there than it has been down here.
It was nice that
it was a good
to walk and play off. It was you could have good solid contact off that. There's no squelch anywhere, but it wasn't like, oh, that's so dry. Everything's just going to be really leaked.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. Like you could, the greens were a bit receptive, and there's a bit of softness around the fairways, but it wasn't like the ball was bouncing along pretty well, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then hole number 2 is a par 3. Now this course is unique in that it has 5 par 3s. So the Wings is just a shorter course in general. There's 5 par 3s, and I suppose we'll just jump straight into it. The par 3s at both courses are magnificent.
Yeah.
There's only one word for them. They're visually stunning holes.
Yeah, I think
so good to look at.
In terms of a takeaway from both, I think that's probably the key takeaway that I think we both took, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that there were some really good short risk reward par 4s on both courses, but I think as a set of par 3s, they were all just epic, weren't they?
Yeah. I thought they had the right blend for me as well of there's enough danger there to keep you I can't just nudge it up and then it'll roll on or whatever. I've got to go for it. But there wasn't enough danger, no names mentioned, wood or spar, where if you just didn't hit the ideal bit on the green, you had it. You've got to work really hard then to rescue anything from that. So I thought that was a great blend.
Yeah, they were really good.
You probably had, if you looked carefully enough, you probably did have a bailout area that you probably could just go, if I actually go for that, I wouldn't hit a bunker.
Yeah.
And I could, if I do miss hit it, I'm sure I can probably do okay from there.
Yeah. But also I think visually they were just all absolutely stunning, weren't they? All had like mountains in the background or beautifully tree lined, like they were all just looked the part, didn't they?
Okay, same phrase, because I was like nature's ball tracer, and that's it. Lush green trees behind the green, and you hit your ball and you just see it the whole way, and if it lands on the green, you just yes, I've done it. They were pucker.
It's an absolutely stunning part of the world.
Yeah, and those par 3s, the way they made them, was absolutely amazing. So
whilst we're talking about par 3s, should we talk about the 14th?
The 14th, we need to get to that.
Oh, you need to build to that. Okay,
yeah, I think so.
Come to that later.
Come on, Chris, we can't peak too soon.
We've got to be some form.
Something amazing to tell you. Yeah. But as you're winding your way through on that front 9 at the Queens, we identified, was it the 3rd and the 4th we identified?
6 and 7.
6 and 7, sorry. So you sort of played it, you teeing off, and then so we hit the 3rd. At the 3rd, you're over on the right edge of the course, where it's like Millionaire's Mansion Road, and I swear I saw Tony Stark's house as well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god! And they were massive.
I mean, you often get like nice houses next to golf courses, right? But this was like something else.
Yeah,
it was proper like LA style, massive glass fronted mansions. It was mental.
Yeah, so that took your mind off the golf.
That focuses my mind. Oh shit, I'm gonna hit like that.
Yeah, that's it. And then we hit another par 3 on the 5th. It was again stunning.
That's a really beautiful
hole.
Yeah.
We sort of arrived to it. And it was funny because one of the Rangers had walked past and driven past, and we think we'd just hit our tee shots. But I think you'd seen the tee shots and we'd got them away, kind of thing. But yeah, the trees were so tall you could see the ball flag the whole way. onto green. I was in heaven when I saw it. And it was just a stunning golf.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
And then we hit the 7th. Now the 7th is a really interesting hole.
I think it's the 6th. Don't forget the 6th. I think the 6th is probably the most beautiful.
Oh yeah, that was
the 6th is that the beautiful rolling hills and it's got a little road.
It's the only podcast Chris can't do what we do. Shall we do them?
But yeah, beautiful rolling hills, wasn't it? And then there's like the little road down the side, a little country road with these little street lights down the side. It just looked.
So like left, right, bunker, and it was all like in a valley, so everything was going to feed into the middle. But just to the eye, it was one of the things that had been said about the golf courses at Gleneagles was that they've been designed in a way that you don't know what's man-made and what's natural, and what, the natural features, and it's easy on the eye, and that front nine, it really did deliver that. What a great start that was.
Yeah, I think that 5, 6, 7, the stretch of holes is going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah.
The stretch of 3 holes, I think it's a tough one.
It was.
I don't think we're going to see anything
more
beautiful.
We kept budging because put another little asterisk. If we see a good hole for the dream 18,
got
it, and we were just like,
it was like 3 in a row, wasn't it?
There's another one.
Yeah.
So so that
we were pretty giddy at that point, weren't we? We were just like, fucking hell, this is incredible.
Didn't play well, but
And how were the scores going up on the first?
And we didn't start well.
I think we'd taken our half the ball. The beauty of the course had put us off like
we didn't start that well.
Yeah.
So we'll ignore what the scores are. And then the 6th, which is great, and that was a lovely hole, and that's the first par that any of us hit. So Chris hit par on that one, and that started us off. And then we hit the 7th. 7th is the only par 5, sorry, on the Queen's course, and it is absolutely magnificent. The whole of course.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful.
You start off at probably the highest point of that course, and you're teeing off downhill. Great, so it's good for your ego because you're not as long, right? But we were saying about undulations, right? But actually, it was a bit roller coastery. Everything was sweeping all the time. So there was a lot of times when you kind of had to trust your yardage because it sort of dipped, and visually you thought, oh, it's not that far, but actually it did have the distance. But because of that, it just had this. I felt it just had a flow. To it.
I think that's the right word, isn't it?
It wasn't like but there was nothing was rippled. So I was expecting like rippling and stuff. It was just like. Mate, these courses tend to. The fairways tend to be rippled for whatever reason, and some idiot has decided that's the way that looks nice on the eye. Like, yeah, great, but then your ball's always going to be either that or that. So, but I didn't find that. I was expecting a lot of,
Yeah, I think especially certainly on the Queens, that you didn't get many like random uphill or side lies. It was fairly. It looks like it's fairly undulated, but actually the fairways themselves.
I think it
filters down into
something
relatively flat. Yeah.
Yeah, but the 7th hole is notable for another reason, and that gives you the best view of this ghost course that is what is Gleneagles West, or West.
Yeah.
So it's this course that is so exclusive, nobody's ever played it aside from members of this guy from the UAE who owns it, who also owns Highland Spring Water. He discovered it on a property that he's got there. We drank a lot of that, didn't we? Highland Spring.
It was free in the free hotel room, so yeah.
That's the hardest.
Free water in the weekend.
So we
it
sort of hit. I mean, I parred that as well, so I played that hole really, really well. And that started then. I think we got into our stride at that point now. We're like,
I don't think I had.
Not on that hole yet. Not on that hole yet.
Normally the par 5s for me are an opportunity to, at least have a crack at a birdie or probably make a par. But I'm in an absolute fist of both. But the par 5s on all.
Yeah,
certainly on the Queens.
That was probably your only real blow-up hole, wasn't it?
Yeah, so an 8 there, didn't
the Queens. You had an 8 there.
Didn't play the Kings par 5 well either.
No. And then you hit the 8th, and the 8th is a really drive. You can drive the green. It's downhill all the way. It's probably about 320, something like that.
310, yeah.
Oh, memory. But I did nearly drive it, but I nearly put it into the bunker, but I stopped just short. And the 3 ladies were ahead of us. They were just pinging off the green as we went over the crest of the hill. I was like, oh my god, they must have been putting when that ball landed over there. Oh, I'm really, really sorry. But we both parred that, and that was visually a great hole to play. And then you come up to the 9th, which then that whole drop that you just done on the 7th, all the way downhill, you go dog leg, but back up, right? So you see when you're this roller coaster nature, you just kind of like you're all the way down. And then honestly, it was
the
so
roofing,
good.
Jim, was immense.
Immense. And it's, again, the green is above your feet. You kind of, you could see the ball the whole way. Oh, mate, I had so much fun.
Yeah,
So much fun on that golf course.
Yeah, it was a fun course. That's the right word, isn't it? It was fun to play.
Yeah. And then at the top of that green is the feature that's probably the best bit of the whole lot, which was ringing in your order for the halfway hut. There's a phone at the top with a dedicated phone line to the halfway hut. And, with a menu, and you ring up, you tell them what tea time you're on, and they said that it'll be ready for you. I was like, yeah, whatever. We rocked up, and I'm like, what tea time was it? 11 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, there's good. Just sat there on the couch waiting for us.
It's pretty epic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like a sausage roll either. You could have whatever you wanted. Like, so I had a lawn sandwich on the first day, whatever that is. Like a sausage lawn sandwich,
yeah.
Which was pretty awesome.
You must be starving by this time as well.
Yeah, exactly. No breakfast, no practice. Starved of all my
so
feeling a bit
hungry
my
at this
requirements.
point, yeah. And then you get to you start then doing the back 9, and again that kind of roller coaster nature just carries on.
Yeah.
There was one point I don't know what you call it. I was going to say the Valley of Doom, but it can't be the Valley of Doom, can it? Because it was actually that beautiful. But we were walking along. I don't know what we were chatting about. It's probably on the recording that we've done the whole round. We were chatting about something, and I just had to stop in the middle because you hit the top of this hill, and laid out in front of you, the green where you're playing to. There's the back-to-back par 3s, which are again a feature of Queen's course. And they're just there, and there's a lovely lake in the middle of it all, and it's just like, that is beautiful. Absolutely stunning.
So you weren't knackered walking up the hill and had to catch your breath.
No, it didn't feel that.
It's one of those.
No, that's when you said, I got to the top of the hill and I had to stop. I thought it was because you.
Oh, it took my breath away, but in a good way. It was amazing, and that in that little valley you've got the 2 back-to-back par 3s. You've got the 13th. That's a relatively simple one. I didn't play it simply, but it's a relatively simple one. And then the 14th, that's the tricky one. That's the one where it's a two-tiered green.
But it's not just any old 2-tier. It's the biggest. I think it's the biggest tier I've ever seen.
It's a big drop, isn't it?
It's massive.
It's a big drop.
I think it gave me vertigo.
So I stood up and hit the top tier. The pin was on the bottom tier, so that was great start. And then Chris steps up for his tee shot. I'll let you describe what you did, Chris.
So it's downwind a little bit, 177 yards, cut me 8 in and out. Absolutely nailed it.
7-9 for me, mate. Just
Good bit, haven't you?
sorry, 9.
Just absolutely middled it, didn't I? I was like, it's a beautiful strike. Just a little bit of a draw coming around. I was like, looks like it's fairly close to that. Pitch is about, a foot to the right of it. Hops on a little bit, spins back, misses the hole by about 1 centimetre, and finishes about 1.5 inches in front of the hole. I was like, oh my god. So close. So close.
There was a group ahead watching as well.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like everything in there. But it was going, I can't help it in this situation. I was like, that's on the flag. That's on the flag, Chris. Let's go. Let's go. It was.
But then afterwards I was like, that is the happiest I've been to not get a hole in one ever. Like Gleneagles is not the place to have to buy everyone a drink after the round for getting a hole in one. That would have been an expensive mistake. Yeah. 2 weeks.
Little facial recognition, mate. So no chance of that.
So that was very, very, very close. Very close.
Yeah, it was.
Please don't tell me you 3 putts didn't be better.
No, I mean,
I gave you the putt there. It was
There was no way you
You
could
had to
have
tap it in.
I didn't tap it in. They said that to me afterwards. It's like, did you not
fancy
need
tap
to
it in?
tap it in? I was like, not really, no.
He knows his putting.
You give it to me.
Yeah, it was a 50-50 chance to begin with.
I love that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the lady put that. You deserved it for that t-shirt. It was perfect. It was a perfect t-shirt.
It was, yeah. Like sometimes when you get close, you like it's a bit of a scabby shot and it kind of works as well there. But that was like absolutely just out the.
It was on target, and it pitched right next to the hole, stand back, just past the hole and finished up just it as well. So yeah, everything it deserved. And then I think that closing stretch is great. Again, I think it's really I think that actually the challenge ramps up. I think that sort of 15, 16, 17. Because that part of it all dropped off. That was all.
Yeah, that was a relative.
And then on the left was just bush and tree. Like, I don't know how much managed to find them all in there, but there's that.
Yeah, and that was a small green to that. That was a tricky par 3. That was at 17, wasn't it?
That was
a nice hole, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was 17. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a nice hole. But
Yeah.
I thought, I think in terms of the challenge, that back 9 was. It's like the hole after the 15th.
Yeah.
I had a 4-iron onto the green, par 4. Like it was relatively easy. I think, that back 9. I think, and that was probably reflected in certainly my score anyway.
But I think this is where my wandering comes with all these courses now, Jim. I think some of these courses are ranked high because they're difficult. I'm convinced of that. And I don't think that's, for me, is what it should be about. It's about enjoying that round of golf on that day. Now, that's not you scoring well. I haven't scored particularly well here. We'll get to that in a minute. It was more than my handicap. However, I walked away from that and I was like, I really enjoyed that round of golf. There were plenty of moments where I felt good because I drove it big. It's downhill, so of course the numbers are going to be big, and yeah, great. There was plenty of times when I hit the ball, and I could see the ball the whole way, and it was satisfying hitting a slightly trickier green, but it was very, very playable. Now, if you remember, we played Royal St David's, and we said the same thing, didn't we? It's a highly playable course. You do well to really lose your ball drastically. You could do, clearly, because there is rough and whatever.
Yeah.
But you're not going to come away and go, oh my God, I've spent another 50 quid on golf balls. And you're going to walk away and you're just going to go, it was badged as a fun course.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely spot on.
And I think we differ a little bit here in terms of the way we look at these. Because I look at them and go, I want to go and play the best courses in the world that, the pros are going to go play, and that the biggest challenge in the.
Yeah.
So I think we do look at it in a slightly different way. And I totally agree with you. I think visually that was
stunning,
absolutely beautiful, and it was so much fun to
play. I think you have a bad round there and you still walk away and go, do you know what, I had a great day, because it was like golf. Don't get me wrong, I've got an appreciation for links courses, and there's different places to play golf, right? But trees, birds, pathways through woods, that kind of thing, that's golf for me.
Yeah. The scenery and the architecture as well does play a huge
it is a massive part of it.
Hills.
And it's interesting, isn't it? It's almost detaching the golf from the experience, the all-round experience of kind of walking around that golf course.
But I'm personally not preempting King, but I suppose I am preempting Kings. But for me, the ranking should be reversed. For me,
it sounds like it just do.
I enjoyed the Queens. I had a better round of the Kings, and I actually played really well on the Kings course. However, I had a more fulfilling, enriching golf experience playing the Queens course.
Yeah, I think we both enjoyed the Queens more, didn't we? As an experience, I think we enjoyed the Queens more.
Was it a 68 par?
68 par.
68?
But the thing about the Queens is only 5,500 yards. We were looking at going, this is going to be a walkover, especially that back 9. But it definitely wasn't. And you had to use your driver a lot more than I thought I was going to. There's a few holes that you can kind of iron off the tees, but you've still a lot of time when you need a decent drive to get away to start the holes. And then it certainly wasn't pitch and putt. I think it was maybe points in it.
But we said that, didn't we? We said this is badged as a really short course. We didn't feel it.
Apart from, I think, maybe that little
There was a couple
middle of the back nine. It felt a bit short. It was like a really short par 3, and then there's that.
There was a couple of short par 4s, but I think aside from that, everybody was still hovering around that 400-yard mark.
Yeah.
And it was, some of them were uphill, and so you had to give it a good hit.
Yeah.
You know, if you drove it well, you got the distance on the drive, then it gave you an easier go. But even then, it was like still hitting a 5-iron into the approach. So I think I enjoyed that round immensely. Like, full on.
I'm sure for you because I know how excited you were at the build up to it.
I think like we both did, didn't we? Like we were both like so happy when we were.
I'm glad we did it that way around as well. We didn't have a choice, but I'm glad it happened that way around.
We were buzzing. We were absolutely buzzing. And then we had to we were going into the hotel afterwards as well. Like we were sitting in Spa for an hour afterwards. It was a pretty amazing.
It was great. Yeah, we got maybe we'll talk signature hole challenge in a minute, but. In terms of scores, so I mean, Chris had an absolute barnstorming back.
So it looks like he got another birdie.
He got back-to-back birdies.
Back-to-back
birdies. And you had a chance at 3 birdies.
Third birdie, yeah.
Yeah, but I think then the putting thing happened, didn't it? I think, is that right? Was that what the deal was? Or was your approach not good?
Which one was that? So it was
the 16th.
16.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah, but something happened on there that just meant you couldn't go for another birdie. It's probably the first time, or the only time anyone's ever going to mention his tee course in the same breath. But it had for me a bit of a feel of my course Redditch Vale about it, in that I think you could play that golf course and you won't get bored of it.
Oh, definitely not. You could never get bored of that scenery and those holes. Like,
Yeah, you couldn't get bored of it. I took so many pictures. It was like, look at that approach, that's great, look at the scenery. It was just...
You weren't holding a play with it?
No, actually. It didn't feel like, at any point did it feel like there was anybody even near us.
It didn't really feel that busy. Like sometimes you feel like you're just kind of crammed on. You've got your little window and you need to kind of... I think like St David's, it felt like that, doesn't it? Like, it was just like T, and it was just the whole course was stacked, but it didn't feel like that. You felt like you were... you were almost out there on your own at times. Didn't you?
I think that's the nature of it, because you're in the valleys and stuff like that. Interesting thing that they do at the halfway hook. There's a mandatory 10-minute stop, and there's another starter on hold. It was 11, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a mandatory 10-minute stop. I think we were glad of that, to be honest.
I think it's such a brilliant idea. Wherever there's a halfway hook, they should just do that. Like it just works so well.
Because you are worried, aren't you?
You got the pressure of like.
If there's no starter, then like, how do you deal with that? You know, whereas they had a starter, so they knew who was starting. They were coming out and saying, "Right, it's your turn to tee off now, get back on the."
It just keeps play.
Keeps things moving.
Keep things moving.
But also, just gives you the chance to just have a little break. Exactly. Enjoy it. Because like it was a pretty mega halfway hook, wasn't it? Like
expected some cafes have been in.
Absolutely.
And roulets outside, you know.
Massive roulets outside. Nice little seating area. But there was people like from the hotel just coming out for like a walk or a bike ride and just sitting there for an hour or so. And just
it was a good high point, wasn't it? You could see a lot of the valley and the hills.
So you can see the rest of the course, the King's Course and the PGA and...
PGA, it's all like only saw like one hole of the PGA, didn't we? I think that's the only vantage point.
So he's almost quite secluded, but you know.
Yeah.
But I think so. We've not come to it yet, but Colin, the guy we played with on the next day at the Kings, was basically saying they could fit another 1 or 2 golf courses on this site. Like certainly around the Queens, you could fit another golf course in it easily. Yeah. If they just redesigned it and there's so much space out there that you just
So we both, Chris had a horrific front 9, and we both shot the same score, 46. And then I was the same on the way back, 46. Chris it's a par 33 for the last 9, the back 9. He shot a 35. 2 over for the back 9.
Pleased with that?
Oh, do you know what? That's the best little stretch of golf I've played since coming back. Yeah. Like it felt really good. Hitting it really well. There wasn't many bad shots in there, was there?
No, not
it felt like it was on the ball really well.
81 total, yeah. 81 total.
But that's with an 8 on a par 5, which is pretty much unheard of for me.
Yeah, that's rare, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was very happy with the way I played, really. Yeah. The first 6 holes basically completely screwed my card, but after that it was pretty solid. Really, really, really thoroughly enjoyed that round.
Yeah, it was a great round of golf.
It was a mega.
I got a 92, which was that's 24 over par, so that was, I think it was like 4 shots worse off, 3 shots worse off than what my adjusted handicap would have been on that course. So that is by no means disastrous for me. I was very happy to shoot something that was in double figures.
Yeah.
You know, under 100, especially after the double spot. Which,
I mean, you were a lot better than the world spot. You got your game back a little bit.
And I didn't putt well. So I said to Chris, so the greens. We probably should mention this actually. At the time that we played, the greens were slow in that first afternoon period, and then as the sun came out, they did speed up. I couldn't get a gauge of the speed properly.
I do think they've been cut for a little while. They certainly weren't freshly cut because they felt quite long, didn't they? The grass was quite long on them, so they were quite tricky to put on, I thought.
Yeah, and actually they were all. I don't know, when you stood on there, they looked quite innocuous, didn't they? Some of them. You'd put it, and it was like there's quite a big break there. And sometimes I'm like, that's going right to left, easy, no problem. You send it out wide, and it went the other way. And I think we'll see it on the videos when we post the signature hole stuff. But there's a couple of me and Chris that have put, and just gone, what's happened there? For every day of the week, that looks like this. The green is like this, and then you put the ball, and it goes that way.
But I think true for both courses, if you miss it just to the edge, there's a strong chance that if you're chipping towards the hole, you're going to end up off the other side or come back to your feet. There's a lot of that, isn't there? There's a little plateau you got to get the ball to. If you don't get it there, the ball's going in your knacker.
Yeah.
It felt.
I think it's good to have all those different types of experiences because
I think
it's like it's stunning and beautiful.
Yeah,
and everything
absolutely.
Oh, and then
you appreciate the
and
good things
playable.
better than
And I think like I was saying earlier, I think we want to go and play some of these courses where the top pros are playing, and we want to play it like they're playing it, right? So you want to play it when it's hardest and it's almost impossible to get around. Because I know, but that's part of that. It's part of that experience of, like we've said a few times, haven't we, of walking in the footsteps of those great players. I think you're right, Jim. I think having that mix is perfect.
Of course it is. Yeah.
It's and it makes it easier for the competition when you're doing a rank. What is your favourite? And obviously you've got different opinions.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a chat about that today. Actually,
We have a bit
just
of a
been
rank
like,
chat.
really knuckle down on how we rank
I
these
think
things.
I think it's going to become more and more complicated, because you
I
think that's
7 and 8. We'll come on to that in a second, but in terms of the signature hole challenge.
Yeah, you don't really want to know about signature hole challenge, mate.
Oh, you do. I remember
We didn't even do it. I don't think we played the 18th. We were so happy at 17
Queen's
holes.
Haven, which I think is home.
Queen's Haven, yeah.
Queen's Haven, which was a great finishing hole actually.
Great finishing.
So that's a half 5.
Par 4.
All the way downhill, 350 yards.
379.
379.
To the green, yeah.
All the way downhill. It's a very, very long drop. What do you want to know?
I think we should start with Nish.
Where did it go? Left or right?
It went straight.
Oh, did it?
Just straight, not very far. Into
no.
which, by the way, I didn't know existed.
Well, to be fair, when you stood on the tee, you can't see that at
You
all.
can't see that.
It's like right down in a dip.
Yeah, you can't see it at all.
But it started with wards.
No, the only thing I got from him was he was like, you need to go over that mound, right? That's the line that you're going for. And I was like, okay, right. So when I stood on the tee, he's like, that mound's completely the wrong line. But so obviously I'm 3 off the tee. Right. Actually hit a decent drive. I think about 260 yards, wasn't it? Hit a decent drive. It's just ended up in the sort of semi-rough on the right-hand side.
It was longest drive, wasn't it? So Nish had chopped it into the water. So I said, does that mean I can just take an iron?
I was like, no, you got to drive it.
No, you got to drive it. I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go.
And so you did, he smashed
So I did.
300 yards.
330 yards.
Yeah, no,
And to be fair,
It must have been on fire.
the only problem is, though, Jim, is it went in the bunker. But if it had been like 2 yards to the left, it would have gone on the green.
Someone is butts it.
And so, what do you call a bunker when it's? This isn't a joke, by the way. What do you call a bunker when it's in the rough? You call it a bunker, right?
Yeah.
What do you call a bunker when it's in the fairway?
Okay.
But what kind of bunker?
Fairway.
Fairway bunker.
You can't say you hit the fairway.
Well, I mean, it's a fairway bunker, isn't it? Why would you call it a fairway
Sorry,
bunker?
Chris.
Because
Sorry,
it's part of the
it's
fairway.
dependent. You can't have that. There's no way you're giving in that. You
So
can't say
I'll show
you
you the
hit
map,
stuck
Jim.
on the fairway.
I'll show you the
if
map,
hit
Jim.
a fairway bunker.
So look, this is the bunker here, this one.
Yeah.
C-shaped. Fairway, 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 all around the bunker, yeah.
I'm just going to say
So
one
it's a
thing.
fairway bunker,
You know
so that's the fairway,
You
right?
know those bunkers
Yeah.
that are by green? What are they called? They're called green side bunkers. Does that mean you hit the green?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Well, I've hit those. So,
How many were there? Sorry.
nah, can't have that.
So
Jim
I win
knows.
now, Jim. Yeah, I win.
That's not a longest drive. I'm not having that.
It is a longest
It's got to be in the fairway. It's got to be sat in the fairway.
The fairway bunker.
You clarified that. It's got to be sat in the fairway. You can't hit the fairway and roll off into rubber. Go, hit the fairway. Yeah, there's no way that's a long drive. It was a long drive, sorry, but there's no way that's a winning long drive.
You would.
It's not happening, mate. You got hit. It's not a fairway hit stat.
It's a
That I know.
fairway bunker.
No,
yeah.
that I know is not a fairway hit stat
It's a
because
fairway bunker,
when
yeah.
PGA count fairway hits, that a bunker does not count as a fairway hit. I know that.
But when it's a fairway bunker, I'm pretty sure it does, Nish.
Yeah.
So I think obviously you thoroughly enjoyed that experience. I mean, in terms of the rankings of the courses played so far, so this was number 7. Well, there's a couple of things here. Where would you rank it in relation to what you played already, and also any holes that would enter your top 8?
Oh yes. Let's do that first.
So let's do that first because there's the
We can agree on
that.
that.
Yes, that one's easy. We can do that one. So I think definitely 6 and 7. We'd written those down as definites.
100%.
I think we should put 5 in there because I think we just not got the yardage chart out there before we put that in. That par 5, that par 3 rather.
Can I have a quick? Oh yes. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
I
That
think
one
that was-
with the trees that.
I almost think that was probably
That was
my
a
favourite
gorgeous
3.
hole. Yeah, that was a gorgeous.
Somewhere, yeah, between 5 and 6, they were probably my 2 favourite holes.
So what we're saying, 5, 6,
5,
and
6,
7.
and 7, I think.
I'm happy to put all of those in.
I think
Yeah.
it's probably
They were great.
We've not got loads of holes in there at the
It's a
minute.
great stretch of golf holes.
Yeah,
Though.
it really was.
I think that they would. It would surprise me if one, if not 2 of those don't stick around in that because
Definitely.
they'd be difficult to beat. The one that might disappear, might be the par 5, 7.
Yeah, agreed.
That might disappear off that.
Yeah.
But at the minute, I've not played anything that much better than. But I had a good momentum and rhythm to that golf course, Jim.
Nice
That's what I would
flow.
say.
yeah.
Lovely flow. But it was enough to keep you interested.
It felt a little bit like you were just kind of in a glade. That was kind of the thing that I
Gorgeous place to play your golf.
It was nice.
Gorgeous place. The clubhouse. I mean, what's the number equivalent of magnificent?
We're talking about the hotel now or the clubhouse?
Clubhouse.
The clubhouse.
We got attached to the hotel.
Yeah, agreed.
It's the clubhouse of your dreams.
I think we'll see better clubhouses.
You think?
Yeah.
Where?
Places like Hoy Lake.
I think Hoy Lake's going to have the history,
Yeah. It's beautiful as well.
but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't think we'll get to see all of it, by the way.
Well, yeah.
Whereas
We might not get to see it all.
access all areas,
Might never get
there's loads of areas that you can't go into. It's going to be like Nicholas Birkdale.
Yeah.
You're very restricted in where you can go in.
Mm.
Which, by the way, is dropped 13 places on the official rankings that's come out today.
Okay.
Do you reckon? I was thinking.
That's
I think
interesting,
that's
that.
because of the changes they made for the Open.
They can't be penalising them for that because
But maybe, I mean, to be
maybe
fair,
the changes aren't very good.
maybe the changes aren't very good, or maybe you can't actually get on it and play it. Maybe they closed half the holes off.
But that shouldn't
You'd think
prejudice their
that wouldn't
rankings,
impact
should it?
But I guess
Because
it's changing it every year. Then I suppose.
they're doing stuff to improve the course for a tournament they get.
Yeah. But maybe they made it overly difficult. Or
I'd like to know. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not bothered enough to go and read what
Yeah.
it's happened. However, that's the biggest dropper. I
I
think
think you're going
it's
to be
13
sending us a
places.
message at 1 o'clock in the morning going, I've read it.
I hope we find a better clubhouse.
I think it was great. It was the best one we've seen so far.
Yeah,
I think there's a couple better out there.
let's get a 9.5 for me because there's always
There's always
some
room for
place-
improvement.
There's always someplace better. We don't know that.
Exactly.
You know.
You're going to be realistic.
Yeah, it could be like an Adair
Could be
match or
like
something,
like
couldn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
That's been purpose built now, so
Yeah.
they've gone. Actually, that works. Let's make it better.
Yeah.
So yeah, the clubhouse was. It's worth getting there early. It's worth sticking around for a drink afterwards.
Apparently
Because,
the breakfast is great.
yeah,
Can't comment on that.
my breakfast was man. Yeah, actually, it's 10. My breakfast was so good. It's a 10.
I've knocked 4 points off my lack of breakfast.
Yeah. Course rating
Course rating,
is interesting because Chris has done it. I haven't actually quite settled on it. This is what led to our debate, didn't it? Really, about where we're ranking stuff. But like, maybe we need to do like our own rankings and then average it to find. I don't know. don't know if he even cares what we actually rank the courses, but
You can both have your own rankings.
Yeah,
there's nothing
probably
stopping you from.
I think we're doing it as a pair. I think we said we could maybe
probably average it out.
So we could do my rankings, your rankings, and then the blended average.
Yeah, I think so. What did you rank the course?
Good question. So I'm 8 for Queens.
8 for Queens. Yeah. Okay.
So where will that rank?
Yeah, where does that rank compared to?
Silith was still.
Silith is 9. Moortown 8.5. Just the third best in terms of course
best
rankings.
I probably had it as third as well. It's crept onto my top 3 now.
I thought it might go straight in top of the pops. Do you?
Again, this led to more chat we were having today. Because I said we need to do it separate, and I think anything's budging Silith. For me, Moortown was better than Silith. Yeah, so Moortown, Silith 1 and 2. You could argue one or the other way, but and then Queens jumps into third for me because it was a really great course, and the fact that you can play there and score there, and then you add in all the other stuff that comes around it. We've got to look at it from the view of somebody listening might only play 2, 3, 4, maybe even 1 of these courses ever. If you're going to Gleneagles, you've got to make the effort to play both. You should do, because you're going. If you're not local anyway, but if you're going all the way up there, it's well worth doing. But if you only pick 1, for me, I'll pick Queens because I'd walk away from that and go, that was a bloody brilliant day.
I mean, I think,
and I've got a few things out of that, and actually, it's always nice to do things like get a birdie and stuff like that, and get a few pars and walk away and go, actually scored well as well today. So it's kind of everything into that. And again, I'm thinking of this from, I don't play that well. I do play that often. Sorry, that's a bit silly, but I'm not good. I'm coming from a not good perspective. So for me, the experience and the enjoyment that I get out of that round of golf, rather than the challenge, is that gets me going.
But I think anyone who's a golfer should absolutely go to Gleneagles. Like I was a little bit, thinking, it's a resort course and all this kind of thing, and wasn't sure whether we'd get stuffy in the hotel. Like it was one of the best weekends I've ever had. Like it was incredible from start to finish. Like the whole experience was just something else.
Can't speak highly enough about that, can we?
Really can't. And I came away, we got back and you guys were still there, and I felt so upset that you guys were still there and we'd had to come home. It felt like this weird come down, to go back to normal life after this weird kind of otherworldly life for a couple of days.
I totally agree. I had a message from Mark, who will be listening because he listens every single week, who we're going to meet at Ganton at our next course.
Okay, yeah.
And Mark said, "How was it?" And it was a 4-letter word that I responded with, and it was just all in capitals. I was like, "Mate." And that was it. That for me summed it up. It was what a magical weekend it was.
It really was. It was awesome.
You should make. Yeah, it's worth taking out a loan.
Yeah. You might need to do that, and you've just got to kind of suck it up in terms of the price you're going to pay for a sandwich and whatnot. But I think as long as you go in there and go, right, I'm only here for a couple of days, I'm just going to enjoy it.
Get your Skoda Valley Pass, you're going to be all right.
Exactly. Yeah.
In fact, take your shittest car that you can.
Yeah.
About that. That's what I do. So I suppose the only thing for me to say there would be there's part 2 coming up, which is the King's Course review. So actually listen to both, I think, as a pair, because it's difficult to separate the two actually. Without,
it is a little bit, yeah.
And we're comparing, aren't we? So it's worth listening to what we say about the King's Course. So
I think the only thing left for me to say is fairway bunker is part of the fairway. Full stop.
I think what he meant to say was, when he said about fairway bunkers, he meant please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because you get to watch a fuller version of these episodes. So it's worth watching. Next time on the Top 110 Golf Podcast, we'll review the King's Course at Gleneagles and confirm that a fairway bunker is not a fairway.